saw these two Mercedes lined up right here. I thought, why not give it a shot? Let me see. I got the probably worst camera in the world for this. The broken Minolta here. I don't know, there's something about the layout that I really like about these guys. I don't know, something to be said about the changing design language or something. This camera just smells like piss. And I also kind of enjoy the dice in there. Anyway, we're shooting Flick Film's Aero Color film that they've recanned. It's called Electra 100. We've got these like really lovely green hills here. So just trying to see how that's going to render spectrally speaking. To mix it up a little bit, we will do a little wider open, 2.8, and then 250, because I think 5.6, 60, so it'd be 4, 125, 2.8, 250. I think that makes sense. This lens does not actually denote 4, does not exist, but there's a click for it, so I'm assuming it's between 2.8 and 5.6, as it is normally. We'll go over the details of this camera in a little bit, all the ways in which it's broken, but for now, that should be good. This is the Minolta SRT 102 that we're gonna be using today. You'll notice there's a few things missing here. So we'll talk about that, then we'll take some photos and see the results. First and foremost, you'll notice that there is no leatherette. That's kind of obvious. You'll also notice that the top is a black top, the bottom is silver. There's no battery, ergo no light meter. There's no lens release, so there's really no way to release the lens, but I will show you. I'm going to do that anyway. On the top here, we have historic amount of dust that's kind of embedded itself into the camera. We also have a missing advance lever there. The viewfinder is fairly dim because the mirror itself has a considerable amount of dust on it as well. Nice coating of it there. So basically, this camera is perfectly operational. What I have loaded in here today is Aero Color, which I feel bold enough to say is the next iteration of Cinestill-esque film, meaning it is a film that is mass-produced by Kodak. Other companies can then put into a canister and sell with their own creative branding. This one is Flick Film's Electra 100, but there's other brands such as Carmier, Photo Factory Store, and Santa Color 100 off the top of my head. I'm sure there's plenty more, but that's the gist of it. Got some skaters down here. I don't feel entirely confident on the shutter speeds of this thing. I did test some of them, and the top speeds were pretty loose. So we move back down to 68, I think it was. I think that should be, I don't know, that sounds exactly the same as 250. So I don't know what that really says, but we'll find out. Now I'm shooting with the Hanimex 28mm 2.8, and that gives me a lot of versatility in terms of what I'm seeing. It's a nice wide angle lens, as any 28mm is. The concern though that I have is the sharpness of the optics. Third-party lenses aren't really renowned for their optical quality, so we're kind of left to think this might not be the best photography that I do. Not only that, again, the camera itself is falling apart in my hands. So how do we circumvent this issue? Well, we just would swap lenses, correct? But again, we don't have a lens release because the lens release button itself actually screws on to the camera. That's why I brought the screwdriver, because I'm just going to insert it here, tug down as if I was to press the button, and then rotate the lens, take it off. Easy peasy. If for whatever reason you're put in the situation of you not having a lens release button, screwdriver does the trick. Now what I want to point out is, of course, the embedded dust in here. I mean, look at that. That is pretty gnarly. Fortunately, we have a much sharper lens right here. This is a 58 millimeter 1.4 lens. As you can tell by the back element, it is squeaky clean. This is going to have no issues whatsoever in optical quality, and I cannot wait to give this a try. Oh, none of that was in focus. Okay. Fantastic. So I don't really know what exactly I spoke about on the last little segment because it was all out of focus, but I believe I was speaking about the optical quality of the lens. I took a picture of a dog that was walking by. The lens itself that I'm using, the reason why it does not work is these early model Rocar SR mount lenses have something called a weak coating on the rear element. Now what happens is over time, that element gets affected by fungus, mold, what have you, and you can't wipe it clean like you can other elements because the coating comes off. And once that coating comes off, the glass can become very smudgy, very difficult to focus. I like to think of it more as like an integrated filter system, okay? You see a lot online about the Kodak H35N that has the glass element with a star filter. This has a haze element to it. It should create this nice soft casting of light among the subjects of the photos I take. We'll see how that goes. As it stands, this lens is only operational with a new element. I do not have one of those. They're hard to come by, but at 58-1.4, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I bracketed the shots I took in, I think, 8, 11, and 16, so we'll see if there's any difference in optical quality betwixt the three. Traditionally, a lens is sharper at like 8. There's like an optimal amount of light coming in to expose the film. Something. The final point that I made while standing here talking to an out of focus camera was that the camera itself, Minoltas in general, they're very hard to break. They're very hard to break to a point where they're unusable. They're easy to break in a way that the shutter speeds won't be completely accurate, or the prism has a dent, the light meter's not going to work. Getting a game-ending, breaking SRT situation, you really have to take a hammer to it. So in the process of putting this video together, I'm confronted with the reality of how do I get this thing to break to a point where it's relatively interesting for a video, but not break to the point where it's unusable. Very hard pill to swallow there, but I feel like I did a fairly decent job of achieving that. But even then, it still just works. And I guess that's one of the good things, and the bad things is, after all this is said and done, I just need to put some new parts, a little elbow grease, and this thing's good to go. The lens is cooked, but we are now 23 shots. That's a cute dog. I might grab that. 24 shots in, so let's move to another location and rip off the other 12. I like how this looks. Something about the way that everything's kind of mixed together here. F860, F1130. Should advance it first. And then we'll try F15 or 115, F16. That seems more on brand. So at F860, let's try 500-8. And then let's also try 4-250. And then we'll try 5-6-125. That should be fine. That should be good. Then I also want to get these little dandelions here, specifically this one that's been partially blown. $860. Then we'll try this one. It is impressively difficult to get a sharp image because there is just this milieu of haze going on, but I do enjoy the challenge. I think we'll try here. We'll do 1660. That should be about right. The final one, I think right here, the mixture of the wheel and the wildflowers. I really enjoy. This comes out looking interesting. And then finally we'll do four 125. This should let a lot of light in. Should also let a lot of the haze in. And there should still be some relative sharpness for image quality, but we'll find out. Potentially the last shot. We'll do 8 125 right here. Okay, we'll do 860. This is just a never-ending roll. I did load it correctly, didn't I? Okay, I did. Just very generous 36 exposures here. I mean, my lord. What am I shooting now? What do I have left? 8250 on here. Kind of like the way the netting cuts into the sky, and we are now done. Okay, cool. So we'll take the film in. Hopefully the camera did not completely die. If it did not, then we'll see the rest of the video. If it did die, however, you will be greeted with just a screen grab of wherever it died, and of course the pictures that I took along the way. So I'm rewinding film. And that's all she wrote. Good time, what a good day. I love that. I love that it stayed working. Okay.